Welcome back to the LTA. You just heard a little bit about Yuuji joining the roster here for Team Liquid on the Tier 1 stage. Everybody from his alma mater there in Maryville wishing him the best. I love to see that kind of camaraderie there. Knowing that he came from Maryville and then made it up here, that school has had so much success in like the Tier 2 NACL type of ecosystem. And now his first game on stage in the LTA went great.
Yeah, I mean, they said, just do your job, trust your teammates.
Yep.
He did his job in that game and definitely trusted the teammates that did a lot of work there. So let's get into game number 2 and see what Shopify can adjust coming into this one. Now, you can just like tell CoreJJ stop and like don't do that again, please help, stop invading.
Hey man, quit.
But they can definitely, you know, draft some support matchup maybe that will give Seoul some agency here in truly putting out some lane pressure and keeping CoreJJ more pinned down and not allow him so much freedom to invade and keep Contractz down, because that strategy from Team Liquid was honestly brilliant, since Contractz has been the primary player for Shopify that like drives a lot of their advantages and their leads. And so not only did TL set up their new player, Yuuji, but they also took out basically from the game one of Shopify's strongest and earliest players there in Contractz, while still having lane pressure for themselves.
Okay, so Shopify are going to ban out the Kalista, the Azir, the Yorick. Varus was banned last time around, but they are going to leave that one open here, as the Yone and the Fury remain banned by TL. They want to keep Contractz off of the dog. They want to keep Palafox off of the Yone, since that's been his most successful champion so far this split. Vi also going to remain banned. I don't know. I think Vi's kind of not the greatest jungle pick right now. People just kind of keep going with it because it's comfortable. It definitely feels like it looks not so hot in a lot of the games it's in.
But she's going to remain on the ban phase.
She's going to remain on the ban list, though. I'm not the pro player. I'm just corporate man.
And you are an admitted Vi hater.
Yes,
so,
I am a card-carrying member of the Vi hater squad.
All right, well, the classic Varus Ezreal trade is just delayed in the series and will occur in game number 2.
Okay,
instead of game number 1, because of the bans that did go down. So let's see about the follow-up there. Because it can go one of two ways. Okay, and it's very quickly going to go the double poke way here with the very early Neeko picked up. And again, this is the team that we stress the most, that Neeko is a flex pick and a threatening flex pick for APA, since APA has put a ton of time in on Neeko, has played it in many different metas, really comfortable and likes this champion a lot, and likes being an engage and playmaker from mid lane too. So just saying, it is also the flexible early pick here for this Team Liquid squad.
And it was banned out in the second half of the draft in the previous game. Remember in game number 1, it was solo lanes and it was junglers drafted in the first half. So lots of focus on those bot lane duos in the second half of things. Back over on Shopify's side though, it'll be Jayce and Nautilus locked in. So a flex pick for the solo lanes and the bottom lane duo for the first half.
Just saying, Neeko can also be really annoying as a support Neeko invading you.
Yep.
that champ can get very, very troublesome and difficult to deal with. Of course, in lane as well, they both have a lot of poke potential and harassment, but catching back up here, Team Liquid also slammed this Sion for impact. They have begun doing this a lot more frequently after the bumpy road that Team Liquid have gone through so far this year. They've become a lot more willing to just kind of slam some early Sion, some early impact favorite type of champions for themselves into the draft. And of course, this one is just a good matchup into the Jayce. You like to basically out-tank the Jayce, soak up the damage, scale up your health, and become a super beefy frontline. So it just makes a lot of sense here into the early Fudge Jayce, which technically can get flexed to Palafox's hands, since Palafox also has a long history with the Jayce, but you would presume that it is a top Jayce.
Well, it doesn't look like Team Liquid is presuming that, because they're banning the Gwen. They're saying, all right,
because they know
we think you're going to try to avoid the Jayce into Sion matchup.
Palafox, it's funny because when we're talking about the era that he really played a lot of mid lane Jayce and liked it a lot, it was back in 2023 and a bit of 2024 when he had a lot of success directly against APA. So if this Jayce does go into Palafox's hands, maybe he'll try and recreate those like couple of years ago on Energy when he actually would get a lot of the better of APA, and back then it was like Tristana and Jayce meta. But that's a lot very far in the past, and we're not even sure if they are flexing the pick. So we will catch back up with the jungle pick here. I was hoping we would actually get the Talon. We had an owner Talon in LCK a little bit ago, and I'm a huge fan of that pick at the moment for solo queue at the very least, but we're not going to get it. Nope. We're going to get the Yuuji Viego instead.
Okay, Viego locked in for TL for the jungle, which means they are wisely saving that last pick to see, okay, where do we want to send the Neeko? Is it going to go mid? Are we going to have it go support? What's going to happen with the enemy team with their potential flex picks? Galio locked in here, and okay, we're going to lock the Kha'Zix.
Oh, we get the assassin for Contractz. I mean, this team came into this split finding a lot of success with Contractz on Naafiri. Carry jungler. Kha'Zix here is an assassin, so we'll okay, well, in the past you can have had some success with Conqueror cooldown reduction builds. Those have definitely dropped off. It is still an option, but I honestly think that he will go assassin, and he'll just play around the Sion and not through the Sion.
Right. you're not going through him if you're building lethality.
You're going around that wide Sion.
Yeah. Let's
that's somebody. That's the Varus' job to kill that thing.
Well, it is going to be a pretty tough game, though, to play the Kha'Zix because you've got two tanky champions in the Sion and the Rell with tons of CC. You've got Neeko that just has this giant get-the-hell-out-of-here circle that you cannot be anywhere near when that ultimate goes off, and Ezreal's a pretty evasive AD. So Contractz is going to have to really be dialed in here on the purple buck.
Yeah, I mean, he might end up still going with that older Conqueror and Black Cleaver style build, but we'll see which angle he does go with it. Viego, definitely a champion that as long as you are wary and you can avoid the stun, then you can definitely come out ahead in some of those duels. A lot of it for Kha'Zix relies on getting into position early. When you have Russ presence, it means you are isolated, plus you are unseen. So a lot of it can be, gained through early invades, warding jungle paths, and having a support help you out. So play for jungle, I think, is going to be a theme once again here. Try and play for jungle advantage. See if you can get a lead there for either one of these carry-style jungles.
Non-subscribers, will see you in 30 seconds, but I really just want to see, you're talking about, being there early, getting out on the map, being proactive, focusing on the jungle. I want to see all of that from 30 seconds into the game. Last game, it felt like Shopify just never started playing until the game was already over. They can't afford to do it twice in a row.
Yeah, because CoreJJ did it first, and he did it better. CoreJJ,
the original.
You were talking about getting there early. CoreJJ, he literally started with a level 1 before minions spawn ward kill. Do you remember? You were joking. You were like, oh my god, CoreJJ, he's got the most, CS, he's got the most everything. But one big factor that we have been talking about and setting up, Spawn is back in person. They have a relationship this year where he coaches some of the time remote to stay with his family and raise his kids, but sometimes when they really need him, they send up the bat signal, they call in Spawn, and he comes back, and they just instantly have success, Flowers.
And that graphic is updated with last game included in there. 9-1 with Spawn here with the team in person. It's got to be studied, man. It really does. The Spawn effect on this team just turns them into an entirely different beast. And Shopify got a little bit of a taste of how tough that beast is to deal with in game 1.
Well, we're going to see if Contractz can make them taste fear with this Kha'Zix. He has gone with the first strike, Flowers. It's not the Conqueror cooldown reduction, kind of boring bruiser build. This will be a damage Kha'Zix, some lethality Kha'Zix here. He's got the first strike to try and generate the extra gold, to try and get the early burst damage. So we'll see if he can actually pull it off. It is not that easy in pro play usually. And you mentioned, it is hard to get around a Neeko. It is hard to get around Rell sometimes. So, but he's going to have to do that. You don't want to get caught up in a lot of these AoEs. You have to be very, very good with your positioning, using your ultimate to get in and out of these fights and not really get caught up on the Sion in the front line. looking for the good openings to get kills on backline. And it does help always, of course, when you've got a Galio and you have a Nautilus on your team. Point and click from Nautilus helps you start things out, and the Galio helps you when you go in with your ultimate, being invisible to get really good positioning for Galio ultimates and allow you to actually play team fights a lot more effectively.
Okay, nice use of the binding there from APA. The Strangle Barbs locks up Palafox, and one more auto attack doesn't do it because Palafox drank his potion. I've never seen a better PSA for remembering the pots than that right there. Palafox barely holds on.
Flowers, I got confirmation that was 4 health left on Palafox. Calculated.
Wow, yeah, exactly.
Genius midfielder Palafox.
Genius midfielder knew that he was going to have that extra 4 to spare.
He was getting the absolute most out of his Doran shield.
That is a lot of value for Palafox, who does not have his flash anymore, though. APA did not have to spend any summoner spells on nearly getting that kill, so he'll have plenty of advantage here in that mid lane matchup for the next 5 minutes, especially with Yuuji prowling around. And I feel like this game is going to be a better test of how well Yuuji actually does as an individual. One of the comments,
the CoreJJ booster.
Yeah, one of the comments that I read from the live discussion thread between the games was a guy saying, you know, you could kind of just put anybody, just pluck a random guy from ladder and put him in the jungler chair last game, and Team Liquid's still going to win the game. And that's probably pretty true. CoreJJ just won everything, but in this one, you know, Contractz has not been set egregiously far behind from before the minions even spawn. It's going to be a much closer battle. Yuuji did have very good stats in that first game, 427 KDA. Obviously up a ton of gold at 14 because of the way the early game went. 2v2 scrap down here on the bottom side as Seos finds a nice dredge line there onto Core, who has to crash down defensively. Seos and Bvoy also off to a much better start in this one.
And I want to point out the deeper Team Liquid vision. You see wards on the Raptor brush there for TL, helping try and track Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix, of course, does need to farm a lot early. This champion is item dependent. You are an assassin. You need the damage to actually get lethal threshold there so you can actually find the kills. And so farming for both of the junglers so far, but that ward is quite nice to fully track the Kha'Zix. Everybody's been in those solo queue games where Kha'Zix gets a couple early kills and then
it's out of control,
starts invading, gets all these, you know, isolated kills later on. Becomes really hard every time you're like traversing through the jungle. You have to have wards everywhere. You have to worry about these brush. So trying to track him early once again, but he is going to take a stop off towards the river here, towards the control ward they have in Dragon Pit, and we'll start that one off. Wrap around here, and with the earlier recall from their bottom lane, it should be, well,
we don't know.
It's going to be answered. That control ward in the middle brush did see them path over, so while TL don't have vision of the health of it,
oh, immediately, Seos is ready to engage on Yuuji, who gets a little bit too close. Contractz follows up. As soon as Yuuji flashes away, they recognize they don't need to chase, turn right back over to the objective, and Shopify Rebellion are going to claim the first Drake.
This is why junglers probably complain about the support role the most of anyone in League of Legends. I know I certainly do, but this game is a good example. And that time, you know, Seos going over 2 Contractz, helping
Game 1
out.
was a great example, too.
That, yep. Ignite used, and so they do get the flash, but CoreJJ took the opportunity, got some deeper vision. Again, CoreJJ placing that control ward there, popped over the back of the blue buff wall. And Seos really taking it upon himself this time around to work along with Contractz. Of course, Rell is not the level 1 terror that Poppy is. Nobody really is, so not as many options there this time around. And we are kind of cruising to those level 6s for the jungles. We'll see if the flash actually makes a difference. You know, Yuuji having no flash on the Viego of Contractz is going to be able to pull something off here with his flash advantage once he gets level 6. Oftentimes, use your early ultimate charges to get in there for ganks. try and get that early kill so you can actually get to your first lethality spike and start snowballing.
Now, speaking of flash cooldowns, also worth noting, Palafox has about 45 seconds left on his flash cooldown that he had to spend earlier when he barely survived APA going after him early. So unless TL just has an immediate punish ready to go, that one's mostly going to end up being a non-factor, as Fudge still has control over the bot lane wave here, dealing with impact. Both bottom lane duos have already been swapped up to the top side. 7.5 minutes on the clock means that only 30 seconds remain until the grubs spawn. Fudge just taking the chance, move up into the river, grab the honey fruits, because he knows that his jungler is already there, as Palafox continues to struggle with some of this skill shot dodging versus APA, but the farm stays even, and that's what matters. Contractz just waiting in the jungle as Yuuji puts a control ward in the brush to find the Kha'Zix, but now it's Palafox ready to back him up here with a grand entrance. Yuuji still just trying to trade with the enemy jungler as he gets away. APA with a nice tangle barb to lock up the Galio as Impact arrives with a big Sion ulti and it's first blood back over to APA. Fudge ain't gonna get anything back because Yuuji cuts him down before he can try. Shopify, they wanted to make something happen. They wanted to play around the Kha'Zix. They wanted to play around Yuuji not having a flash, but they couldn't outfight Team Liquid, and it's a 2-0 fight for TL.
Yeah, their Galio ultimate doesn't really get anything for them, and Impact comes in huge, closing the exit from the jungle. The Sion ultimate here, so much value, allows the turnaround. Yuuji even got to go back in after that.
Oh, Seoul misses his dredge line. Team Liquid was using cooldowns. True Shot Barrage was used on the wave. Shuddering Strike was used on the wave. Shopify wanted to take the chance to try to at least force something, but the missed dredge line stops it. Here's another look at Contractz invade.
That one really hurts. That brush play should have had dividends. But here's another look at it. So he tries to go get positioning onto him. The stun is then used, but Yuuji is able to walk away from the Galio ult, and then they're kind of out. Then they make the play with the early rotation from Fudge and flash from APA, but Impact's able to make such a huge play with his ulti that APA can then turn with the Neeko ult, and Yuuji is able to come back, and so they all are able to collapse and kill Shopify on the way out of the jungle. They got so deep trying. Oh my goodness, Spawn is actually hyped. Usually he stays very composed, but he is very, very hyped here for TL with their first series with Yuuji being in, and it is almost 10 out of, I'd say 10 out of 10 thus far with this series for Yuuji, for Team Liquid.
CoreJJ on the jungle invade yet again. Contractz secures his own blue buff, and with Seoul and Bvoy coming up to back him up, Team Liquid does not want to overcommit to this here just yet. Yeon going to find some positioning here in the tri-brush as Contractz and Seoul are working on this Gromp, but Contractz jumps over the wall, recognizing Team Liquid has to be setting some kind of a trap. They're hanging around way too long. They've got way too many bodies in the area, and now TL finally going to back away without a whole lot more to fight for.
Okay, just another little scrap. No harm, no foul. Another ultimate from Impact here, though. Does get the flash. More high value there. Can he walk away?
Still just trying to escape the Jayce. Fudge has a lot of damage. Flashback out from Impact. Wants to try to get away from the accelerated shock blast. Impact just barely holds on. That one was like 60, 70 HP. But this is payback for the earlier Palafox escape. It's now 1-1 on the cheating death for both teams.
Okay. 1-for-1 on flashes, too. So this lane is going to get ganked. Teleport does come in. Those things take pretty long to arrive early.
Yeah. And let's see if APA can get anything here. Goes in immediately for the Pop Blossom. There's the Tangle Barbs. Follow-up is there, and it's Speed of Warfare secured as Team Liquid gets their third kill.
They take a long time to arrive, but not too long.
Still arrives.
Plenty gets there for APA. He makes it happen, and there's a primed turret plate. Look at that. One little sliver.
Oh, that always feels so good.
Thank you, Impact.
It's just primed and waiting. You pick up it's the next best thing to last hitting a kill that you did none of the work for. Feels good, man.
Thank you. Juicy turret plate money on top of the kill that was basically served up with those flashes being exchanged. And Team Liquid, they just continue to capitalize, Flowers. Another play where they're able to have the extra person coming through. APA's teleport. Thank you, observers. We got a nice look at it. Of course, Proto Belt being cheaper is so nice for so many champions, definitely for Neeko, because APA's got, boots plus the Dark Seal plus the, Proto Belt, so you had the luxury of all this extra stuff. But the key thing is when you play Dark Seal, get that thing early so you get stacks on it. And he got it early. So he's already at 5 from the earlier play where they countered the invade from Shopify. And then this play where they again counter the aggression in the side lane from Shopify. And these Team Liquid counter plays so far this game have had huge rewards, especially for APA on his Neeko.
He's halfway to a book already. Only 12 minutes into the game, and Team Liquid is starting up this second Drake as it spawns. Shopify may have secured the first and got the grubs, but Team Liquid is not about to let them have this third neutral objective, at least not without a fight. Over the wall, though. Nicely done from Contractz, stealing away the Drake. That's going to secure them the neutral objective feat, as Seoul has to try to escape. Yuuji going in a little bit further, uses the Viego ulti to try to buffer through some of the CC as CoreJJ sets it up. Yuuji is going to immune the rain of arrows there by possessing the body at the right moment. So Team Liquid gets their 4th kill, but Shopify critically stealing away that Drake to make it not a total loss.
Yeah, nice combo there from Contractz. Q plus Smite takes away the Dragon, but TL combo takes away Seos. So extra gold, extra kill there for the TL squad, kind of in payment. Shopify, they're looking at this game and they're thinking, we need this Dragon Soul. We definitely are going to need this one in the game. We need that burst damage. We need the extra power from Infernal. Palafox, he stops APA. Galio's not going to be a type of champion that's going to get a kill off that, but it does interrupt your recall. It does mean that APA does have to stick around with a little bit of extra gold in his pocket and delay that recall before he can get up to the other side of the map a little bit.
Exactly. Just caught him window shopping a bit, slows down his tempo, makes sure that he can't keep playing the game exactly the way he wants to play it. And after game number 1 was just TL playing their game exactly how they wanted to play it from start to finish. I'm glad we are seeing a more active Shopify this game. I'm glad they tried to make the play that we saw with the invade with Contractz. Obviously, Team Liquid was able to outplay it, but Shopify is having a much more active early game than they did in that first head-to-head that we just saw. Yes, they still have no kills, but the total control over the neutral objectives, including the 1 steal, is a much better look.
Yeah, let's see what they can do with it.
Exactly. It's not just getting the stuff, it's using the stuff.
You can steal some stuff, and then you got to use that stuff.
You got to use that stuff to make sure you win the game.
Can you sell off all the stolen goods?
Yes. They need to treat Summoner's Rift like a pawn shop, and they need to sell all of this crap and make sure that they can find their vengeance against TL, who's just immediately looking for another one here on Fudge. Last little bit of damage from the Sion isn't quite going to find the target, but TL ain't done yet. Flash in from Yuuji. Needs one more hit there with a big Viego sword, and he stabs Fudge right in the back. 5-0 TL.
All right, this time around, Yuuji gonna be collecting a lot of the kills. Trinity Force here, power spike for him, so the comms are, we definitely want to use this. They actually re-burned Fudge's flash almost as quickly as it came up. I think that thing had just come off cooldown. Because Impacts is really short to follow too, but regardless, with the bot side play, Shopify try and counter on top side.
Ooh, nice grab there on the CoreJJ. Seos hits that one, and they find the pick on TL's support. That was so close, the Mystic Shot got it down to 1. That was nearly stolen by Yeon, just barely misses it. What is this game, man? Okay, so now it's
League of Legends.
It's 1 survival for Shopify that thought they looked like it shouldn't happen, 1 for TL, and 1 for neutral creeps. We've got 1 point for everybody. And Impact is going to take first turret of the game here for TL. That will be the decider in who gets the nicer shoes. So TL going to claim feats in back-to-back games here. Still have over a 2,000 gold lead 16 minutes in. But Shopify are maintaining their absolute control over neutral objectives. 4 for 4 with all 3 grubs. They've got the Herald. They've got both of the first Drakes. And they've got to keep that momentum going as Yeon keeps putting the pressure on, this time in the Tier 1 turret mid.
Yeah, Ezreal with double buffs on his Trinity Force, feeling quite nice, very safe in the mid lane. CoreJJ just trying to get some wards around the outside. I mean, this time, Shopify, at least it feels very cathartic to be able to get their 1 kill, their counter kill onto CoreJJ. Yeah. Some revenge for last game. It was a very nice hook out of the brush this time around, you know, by that Rift Trail that got them that kill, but they're still down fairly heavily in gold. At least they have their item spikes, though. You know, early game, it's all about, can you get your first item power spike here, and then you can be competitive for a while before a lot of the second ones start to come in for TL, who will get there a bit quicker.
Yeah.
But see what they can actually do with it here. Contractz on the Kha'Zix. Level 11 is really, really, really big for Kha'Zix. So maybe once he gets his level 11, and then he can make at least his second serrated Dirk, which as far as like the smaller piece items is definitely one of the stronger ones, especially for a Kha'Zix that really needs to be a big part of this team comp, where they've got Nautilus ult to start out, plus Galio ults that are supposed to come in on top of it. See if they can actually pull off that fight that they envisioned when they picked up this pick.
Plus, he gets his second bug power. Very important.
Yeah, that's why the level 11 is always so big.
Yeah. Massive for him as CoreJJ jumps over the wall, and Bvoy is going to be your target, but Yuuji can't follow it enough just yet. That's okay. Impact has already arrived, and Seoul has already died. Team Liquid sends everything in the kitchen sink, and they'll find their kill, but Shopify are taking back a tier 1 turret in the top lane at the same time. TL, though, about to stop that soul stack.
Yes, they are, and it doesn't look like there's going to be too much of an answer on the other side, even with the 3 grubs buff. Fudge only gets a little chunk there. The Rift Herald's coming over to help, though.
Yeah, that Rift Herald going to put some serious damage into the tier 2, even take it down. Nicely done by Fudge. The gold lead for TL was almost up to 2,500, but after Fudge takes down that tier 1 and tier 2 turret combo, it's back down to 1.5k. So still playable, still manageable for Shopify, but we're going to have to see him win a fight, and it don't happen like this. APA picking up another one as Contractz falls. Palafox wanted to reinforce him, and they're going to get the kill back on CoreJJ to make it a 1-for-1. Now even further damage finds APA, who's got to try to escape, but the winds of war are blowing, and they are knocking him right over. Shutdown credit over to Seoul on that one, and Shopify gets a nice punish, 2-for-1.
All right, well, the bug body is a good Galio ult sight, at least. Even with the bug going down really quickly, very squishy there.
Rip dead bug.
Yeah, the Galio does come down on top. APA got over here, plays the ward, saw him come in, and boom. It's a full wombo combo, but this is when you have the full commitment onto the bug. It's perfect positioning for Palafox. They come in, they have the Nautilus hook as well from Seoul afterwards to get 2 for themselves. 2-for-1 trade. So even though they do lose the mid turret from the siege, they still get an extra kill. And, you know, like you were saying, Fudge actually did a lot of work, even though he's 0-3 on the Jayce, pushing hard on the top side to actually get a lot of gold back for the squad here, to get them in position for some of these 2 item power spikes. Could be critical to the hopes for the comeback for Shopify. I mean, at least they've got double items here on Bvoy. Bvoy no longer has any summoner spells, but does have the ability now with Rage Blade plus the Blade of the Ruin King to actually work through some of the front line. And this is the guy that they were going to rely on to deal with the beefier members on TL.
And speaking of those meatballs on Team Liquid, Sion is looking like he belongs in the middle of a whole plate of spaghetti right about now. 2 fully completed armor items. You got the Sunfire, you got the Frozen Heart, and you got nearly 1,000 HP gained from Soul Furnace. The man is an entire entree, and I don't think anybody on Shopify is hungry enough to chew through him. As Team Liquid is already going to start up the Thornbound Otacon, it has just now spawned. Contractz stepping up to try to challenge a little bit for this. He does have his evolved rockets. I believe it's also the evolved ulti. CoreJJ trying to escape a little bit down here in the bottom side as Team Liquid scrambles to look to join back up with them. The Otacon likely to reset the aggro. Palafox stranded a little bit, tries to go in after APA, but he can't find the lockdown he needs. Team Liquid still looking for the chance to fight as Yeon fires the Mystic shots back towards Seoul. Palafox is about to die before the fight even really starts. Seoul should probably be the next one. True Shot Barrage going to force him back over to the side as Impact's in the middle of everybody, just buying time. Shut down over to Bvoy, who continues to try to escape, but it's CoreJJ with a massive crash down Magnet Storm, and nobody on Shopify's walking away from that one. Ace for Team Liquid.
Team Liquid does it again, and that's going to be the Otacon rewards for them this time around. Flowers, I think you said it. The key was Palafox right here, going for APA, but nobody in range, even with Contractz popping his Ghost and ulti to try and get over there to follow up. Nobody was in range to follow up with damage in the attempted flash play. And then since the flash was used as an engage mechanism there for Palafox, he was so deep past the Otacon and into the entire Team Liquid team that TL had a very good opening for a counter engage. And even though Impact sacrifices himself going on the front line to ensure that that counter engage does go off, and he opens up, an avenue for CoreJJ to get over.
Okay.
Let's listen.
Nice. Good job. Nice fight, guys. Good patient.
Yeah.
Yep, they patience, and then they see the Galio flashing on in super deep, past the Otacon. With the rest of Shopify like being on the outside edges, they were giving respect to the Otacon ability, the big circle thing that it casts. Yeah, nobody was able to follow up on damage, and so Team Liquid have a really good turn there.
Palafox now gets stunned up again. The follow-up from CoreJJ is right there. Palafox is struggling, and Team Liquid are not ones to show any mercy towards him. The Galio falls again. 30 seconds until the Drake spawns. Palafox is going to be alive just about as that makes its way onto the Rift. Yes, he has TP to join up, but this is 30 seconds, Kobe, where TL can do exactly what you're seeing right now. They move into the enemy jungle, they clear out the vision, they place down their own, they make it so scary for anybody on Shopify to try to come contest this.
Yeah, and at this point, it's kind of spent as far as the idea with the comp for Shopify. It's very risky, like we said, to try and play a Kha'Zix game, but their Kha'Zix plus Galio combo that they really wanted to try and get some early money, and when they went for that invade, they were unable to get their kill, and they actually got counter-killed. With multiple kills going over. Now, basically, if you play Kha'Zix in this, well, never mind, here we go.
They try to grab somebody, but it's only Impact. The Sion now going to use the ulti to disengage off to the side, down towards that bottom side river, where Yuuji is already working on the next Drake. Now, last time around, yes, Contractz was able to steal one of these away, but not this time. There's no way to get close enough. It's what I was talking about earlier. The whole bottom side jungle for Shopify belongs to Team Liquid right now, and they guarantee that next Drake because of it.
Yep. Really hard for their Shopify to get in range for a steal or anything. If you could, that's one thing you still can do with this Kha'Zix. You're basically like, I can steal stuff. I am a W spamming bot with my missiles.
Yeah, you got evolved
range.
rockets.
Yeah. You pretty much, W evolve is almost like 99% always your second evolve, just because it allows you to play some of these areas. But see if they can pick anyone off, because surprise counter kills, I guess, are something they can still hope for. Like we kind of saw in the last game, where you get a little bit to this point, and then you're thinking, well, we got to roll our dice on another one of these vision plays where we get surprise assassination on somebody who's isolated. Because if they have vision, then you're basically just spamming W to try and get the slow and tiny bits of poke damage and the tiniest of first strikes.
Yeah, it's not looking great, man. Shopify trying to defend this tier 2 turret down here in bottom lane. Impact and Yeon, the ones positioned as the forward targets, and we know how bad it goes when Impact gets targeted. There's just no way to deal with this guy in a reasonable manner, and you can see with the items in inventory now, Negatron Cloak to provide some of the defense against the magic damage in the Galio and Varus kits as well. He's only going to become more and more unkillable. Over 1,100 health now, just from Soul Furnace alone, 1, 1, and 8 on this frontline tank. You even mentioned in draft, they're kind of falling back to these old tried and true Impact picks, right? We've seen a lot of complaints. We've had a lot of our own complaints about Impact on split pushers or more selfish champions, wanting to see him more on the traditional frontliner tank role for the team, and he just looks so damn good doing it.
Certainly does, and it makes it nice for TL as far as how you want to play out the rest of the game, because they can have him push off on the side. Your ultimate means that you can get to the team fight very quickly, and he is going, it's very hard for Shopify basically to soak the Sion ultimate.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
So they kind of have to play around it, and Team Liquid here with really strong options as far as front to back, having Neeko coverage as well, and having the threat of that big crash down like you saw from CoreJJ last time around with the ultimate plus the crash down. Getting a bunch of members means TL, they have a lot of threat when you get vision coverage over Baron, because Shopify have to continue to poke around, try and check for vision. It's definitely dangerous.
Ooh. Contractz with the Edge of Night completed, at least feels a little bit more comfortable walking up to these brushes to try to see if he can retake the vision on the Shopify side, but it's still really dangerous. As soon as you lose that spell shield, all of a sudden you are one click away from instant doom.
Yeah, can Shopify still find an angle to assassinate Yeon? It has to be through barrier,
and
through flat. Well, yeah, through or around, or I guess following flash, plus the E, plus the locket that comes from CoreJJ's Rell.
Plus Neeko ulti that's going to be protecting him.
Through a lot of peel that's going to happen.
Well, they're going after him right now. Contractz coming around from the side, but Team Liquid is undeterred. Yeon just immediately forcing Contractz away, and now Palafox again is too far forward. He tries to get out, but the crash down Magnet Storm from CoreJJ is ready to seal the deal. Palafox dead again as Contractz tries to separate from the rest of the team and disengage down into the river, but we are not done yet. Yuuji with the stolen Galio body, and APA sets up 2 more. Team Liquid 3 for nothing. The enemy jungler barely hobbling away means he can't try to steal this Baron. It's another objective going the way of TL, 16-5 on the scoreboard.
He can handle a blue buff though, Flowers.
Okay, he can beat, I would hope he could beat the blue buff. That would be some real dire straits as Fudge jumps in after CoreJJ with a 2 the skies. APA doing a good job blocking that one up, and now Fudge knows there's not a whole lot more for him to try to do. Baron at 28 minutes for Team Liquid.
Let's see, yeah, and Dragon Timer, it's perfect. They can just do Baron-empowered recalls, get their control wards, reset, spend all your money, get back over for the Dragon as well. Here's another look at it. Shopify were like, okay, you know, we see Yeon under a low health tower. You know, maybe there's some sort of look there, so they try and get into position. But yeah, TL, another really good counter. They run them down, push them off, and then here's another look where he's actually so tanky there, Yuuji, when he picked up the Galio body, and it opened up space for APA to go make another Neeko play. One of the reasons he really likes that champion. Spawn likes what he sees here.
But he is also perplexed at something. He is confused somewhere as CoreJJ. It's a crash down Magnet Storm, but the follow-up isn't there. Not yet. As now Seoul and Bvoy have to try to get away because Impact's made his way forward. Yeon gets over the wall with just 50 HP, but he finally dies this time. Impact keeps on looking for more as Shopify have already given a double kill over to Yuuji, who goes in for the triple on his first day in the LTA.
He's 10-0 this time around.
Yeah.
10-0 Viego gameplay from Yuuji in his first day in the LTA on the stage. Yeah, game number 1 was a nice little booster from CoreJJ, but this one was really nicely played from the very beginning.
That's what I'm saying, man. You give him those first couple of softballs in game number 1, and now he's ready to knock this thing clean out of the park. Contractz jumps in after APA, looking to take him down. Contractz about to die. It'll be a 1-for-1, even with Palafox's help. APA makes sure he doesn't die alone.
Well. Let's see.
What do we got?
There's not going to be any objectives coming up soon, so you kind of just have to sit in this Team Liquid lead if you're Shopify. I have a feeling that they're going to continue to try and go for assassinations like this because they don't have a lot of other options, but see if they actually, they never even got vision until he jumped all the way in, but APA did react very quickly, and so APA at least gets his counter kill. And he's like, yeah, when a Kha'Zix and a Galio come at you like that, you're smiling when you get a counter kill. He was able to get through the spell shield from the Edge of Night, and still good for 1.
And remember Neeko's Q, those, I'm trying to remember the name of it. For some reason, it's completely escaping me.
The Tangle Barbs?
The Tangle Barbs is the E.
The Blooming Burst.
Yeah, the Blooming Burst. I was going to say Blooming Blows because that's Lilia's. Devs, we need to change the Blooming to something else. There's too much Blooming. But whenever that Q hits, it re-pops up to 3 times. Yeah. And so when you're stuck on top of the Tangle Barbs, it doesn't matter if you have the Galio shield. You are in some real deep water on that one as Team Liquid just continues their push, 20-8 on the scoreboard. About to have a 6,000 gold lead if they get any of these kills. Palafox makes distance with the Justice Punch, and the TP arrives. APA is ready to join the rest of the team. The clone just runs forward to its doom as Impact provides the split lane pressure up here in the top side. TL continuing to try to move this forward into the enemy base, but they don't have the Baron any longer. It is a little bit difficult. Still with a 5,000 gold lead, though. Seos tries to start things up, but CoreJJ is happy to turn it right back around. Shopify needs to send their support back to the fountain and heal him up. Yes, Core is low as well, but it's not going to matter too much. Beautiful shot from Yeon, straight through the back. Palafox about to die now as well, as Team Liquid just continues finding opportunities again and again and again. Now moving back to that tier 3 turret up there in the top lane. The tier 3 in mid is below half HP. They just need the wave to arrive. Inhibitor in top lane the target, and nobody on Shopify is ready to try to stop it. The main direct engage mechanism was Seoul on the Nautilus, but he's still dead for another 15 seconds, and mid lane inhib is the target.
And that target is down. New target.
Immediately APA jumps in after Fudge. They aren't going to find the kill there, but now Contractz in danger. Has to try to hop out on the Kha'Zix. Just barely survives as the Mystic Shot hits him. True Shot Barrage will not claim a second snipe, but the damage is done, Kobe. It's a 7,000 gold lead for TL. It's 2 inhibitors down in the Shopify base.
And what a good look for Team Liquid it has been, Flowers. Spawn flown back in, Yuuji put in the front line, and Team Liquid looking like they're going to 2-0 here versus Shopify. I mean, can't ask for much more from Yuuji this time around.
No,
really,
he's having an awesome game.
He was able to evade the early Galio Kha'Zix combo invading, even when he didn't have his flash from it being blown earlier on in the game. And from that point on, just collecting kills. Really good turns from Team Liquid. A lot of the early plays were counter plays, countering some Shopify aggression that they were able to pull off. Also, big props to Impact, picking up the Sion pick into the Jayce.
Nearly 1,500 HP on Soul Furnace, by the way. That's Sion's W is a very balanced ability. So much HP from this thing. Impact is just a brick wall. 4 fully completed items as he immediately jumps in after the Shopify carries. Palafox and Bvoy scrambling to try to stay alive. Palafox wants to have a heroic entrance and he knocks up 3. The shutdown on Yuuji is there. Core falls through, but it's APA to save the day as Contractz and Palafox can't escape. And that'll do it. APA saw Shopify about to win a fight and said, hell no! Team Liquid now going straight for the enemy Nexus. The Nexus turrets aren't going to last long. It's only Fudge to try to defend him with APA, Yeon, and Impact on the push. The Jayce has no way to deal with this threat. He's already dead. The ace for Yeon and Team Liquid, 26-10. Game 2 is another thrashing, and Team Liquid will 2-0 Shopify Rebellion.